Several people talking yesterday wondered if I was sewing on an industrial. So I just thought I'd give you a little tour of my sewing room. Now I have tidied up a bit. I've actually swept the floor, which doesn't happen that often. But let's go in and we'll have a look. And this is my faithful machine. She's a Juki TL98P and she's sitting in a horn cabinet which unfolds and has loads of storage and what have you. There's other bits that fold out from it, but because it sits in a bay window, as you can see there, I don't have the rest unfolded because it just fits perfectly in the bay window, which means I get fabulous light. So that's the machine I sew on. Because she's on a horn cabinet, she's pushed down, so she's a flatbed. So I use her as a flatbed. She doesn't have a free arm anyway, so it's perfectly fine for me. It means I don't need an extension table. So should we do the rest of the room? We have threads. We have my shelves, which are an absolute nightmare. They are literally full of all manner of stuff. So at the top I've got boxes of things that I don't use very much. My rivet press, drawers full of all manner of bits and pieces, fat quarters in little plastic pot things. All of those are acrylic templates for various different patterns, mine and other people's. Various little bits and pieces. A scan and cut, one of those. Oh, I must have one of those, and then I don't know what to do with it, so it's just sitting there gathering dust. I will get rid of it eventually. I use this little corner desk. I either use it for sewing if I've got somebody coming for a class, or I have my screen and my laptop set up there so that I can, that's where I write my patterns. This little gizmo is that's a little horn table that I took off of something else and added an IKEA ironing board to the top. It's on wheels. I've got my pressing hams underneath, and there's various bits and pieces in the drawers, but that's a little like mobile ironing station, and it works really well because I just think having a big ironing board in here is way more than I can cope with. So we have more IKEA storage, fabric and bits and pieces. This is all hardware, and I'm slowly redoing the things on the front to put new labels on the front. I am actually hoping to have new storage for my hardware, but at the moment, because we're not going out, it just isn't happening. This is my shelf of odds, sods and bits and pieces that I love. Printer. And then if I come back, you can see that's my cutting table. It's not IKEA. It's made from B&Q there. They do two ranges of cubes, and there's a cheap one and a more expensive one, and this is the more expensive one. It's actually a touch more expensive than IKEA, but because I don't live near IKEA, it's not more expensive because I can actually buy locally. The base and the top are IKEA, and the cutting mat on the top is actually two cutting mats that have been melded together. There's all sorts of bits and bobs underneath there. I just bought myself one of these things to try and use as a zipper jig. Whether it will work or not, who knows. Either end of the cutting table, this end has a pegboard. That's a cheap one from the Poundland or Pound Shop or whatever it's called. Works perfectly well, just keeps a few bits underneath there. And on the other end are my rulers and what have you. Now at the back here we have, and this is on wheels, the cutting table's all on wheels so I can move it out of the way if I want to. I have foam interfacing, that's headliner and Styleville. Various bits that I don't need to get to very much are in those drawers at the back there. A whole load of stuff up the top there that is just, there are vintage suitcases that are full of sewing machines. Oops. Various sewing machines on the top and things. I like stuff, so I do tend to surround myself with clutter. More hardware in boxes down there, bits and pieces, scraps of faux leather, bits and bobs. I do have one of the trolleys. That's not an IKEA one, that's a Hobbycraft one that I got in a sale, which I didn't think was too, I thought it'd be useful, but actually it's not, just sits there and is in the way of the radiator. bags galore. Sewing machines. Yes, it's fair to say that I've got too many Elners. That's actually 5 on there, and there are 2 more in my haberdashery. Various bits and pieces that are stored there. Fleece. The embroidery machine is just waiting to be taken elsewhere. Currently I don't use the embroidery machine. Now this I thought you might be interested in. We could talk about zipper storage. It's a shoe rack, but it actually, I can see what zippers I've got, I can see what colours they are, and that works really well for me. If I'm looking like I'm running low, then I just buy more. And for zipper pulls, it's a spice rack, which I just keep little jars of all the different zipper pulls in, and that's tucked on the end of the IKEA Kallax unit. Sorry, I'm making you feel a bit sick, I think, probably going round and round in circles. Fabrics. I have this fabulous old school locker cupboard. It's just beautiful, and inside all of my cotton fabrics, whoops, are folded onto comic boards. So you've got spots, stripes, squares, and it kind of goes on and on and on and on and on. I won't bore you by going through all of them. More bags. Down there we've got fleece, which is something I used to use in my previous sort of working sewing life, but I don't use very much anymore, but I keep it because it's useful. Short zippers stored up there, and this is, I think it's made by a company called Alpha, ELFA. I know that IKEA do them, but that is the most fabulous bit of storage. I have got so much stuff in there. The bar chair is not because I've got a bar in here, it's because if I do embroidery, I sit at the cutting table and do it, and I need something higher than my standard sewing chair. So that's pretty much all the way around. I guess the room is approximately 13 by 13, something like that, with a bay window at the front, so it's not massive, and I do have a lot of stuff in here. This is where the magic happens. There's the book of ideas, and there's the inspiration for said ideas. But that's pretty much it. That's my sewing room. There's no hidden industrial. Lots of machines, but no hidden industrial. Oh, the little filing cabinets where I keep all my patterns. So not my patterns, but patterns that I've bought from elsewhere. All of my patterns are in one of those drawers that I print them, and then I spiral bind them, so they're all bound. So that's pretty much it. You can see it's kind of chaos, but it's my chaos and I love it. And there's definitely no industrial machine knocking about.